Motivation on E. Whole Wi-Fi, my peace, dear Lord. It's your boy Chris Lee. Begging you to set me free. We both know what I couldn't be. Let me loose and reclaim my sleep. No time for sleep. I bet it all on me.
What up? It's your boy Chris Lee. And look, this review is off a beaten path, but I just watched Dune, or whatever it is. Dune. Alright. Done? I'm gonna say done. I just finished watching Dune 1 and 2, the remakes. I didn't watch the original. Listen, I know a lot of Dune fans like, go watch the original, it's so much better. I'm not that guy. I'm fine. Respect it. But I've watched it for a while. I've been having people telling me like, yo, this is one of the greatest movies made. The visual effects is so phenomenal. It's one of the greatest visual movies to ever come out. And they were just really just adding on, piling on. I work at AT&T. I'm a sales rep, and most of my customers, we have small talks and we talk about different things, different pop culture things. And I had multiple people tell me, done, get it done, you know. So with that being said, like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch it. I'm gonna check it out. Mind you, the movie is like 2 hours and like 30 minutes, almost. It feels like forever. It feels like watching Titanic. It's a very long movie, okay? But it's worth it. I tried to get my wife in on it. She was like, nah, I'm good. We just watched Rebel Moon 1 and 2 together, which is, I do a review on that as well, because it's on Netflix, which is why I'm giving these link reviews. Sue me. But yeah, I just watched Dune 1 and 2. Now, my review on Dune 1. Listen, I don't know the lore, so maybe if you watch the original Dune, you kind of see Easter eggs and callbacks and whatever, which is kind of like the whole achievement of being a day one fan. I'm not a day one fan, so I probably missed a lot of Easter eggs. There are probably moments in there when somebody did a whole, Leonardo DiCaprio point at the screen, oh, I know that, I wasn't that guy. I was seeing it for the first time. I had virgin eyes watching it for the first time. And the story is, honestly, watching Dune 1 and 2 really put things in perspective. And I think studios like Marvel and I think studios like DCU are in trouble. The MCU and the DCU is in grave trouble. Because watching Dune, listen, it's not as action-packed, high-fly, colorful, pop culture references. Listen, it's not that, but the story is well written. It's a very well written, well crafted story. The acting was just, listen, I seen people in that movie that act that I never seen in that type of scenario of acting, right? And they pulled it off. You had Bautista really earning his cred as an actor. He's really pulling it off. And then you seen Jason Momoa, who was one of my favorite characters on there, pull it off. And then you had oh my God, I forgot his name. The dude that played Thanos. I forgot his name that quick. But I see him in there, and he done a phenomenal job. And a young character who played Atreus, which I will get their name and plaster it over here somewhere. He phenomenal actor. Like okay, yeah. And then obviously you got Zendaya, who is always wonderful, always a great actress. And normally, I think Hollywood for the latest been trying to push Zendaya as like a sexy icon on us for over the past few years, and I just wasn't biting. You know what I'm saying? And now seeing her in that movie, which is weird because I've seen in other movies where she not as dusty and like a dust bunny, but I don't know. I don't know. Kind of attractive. Maybe with the blue eyes. I don't know. But either way, they all had a phenomenal cast there. There was characters in there that are actors that popped up in there. I'm like, hold up, you in here too? Everybody's in this movie, But it's a phenomenal movie, man. The fight scenes are really cool and unique. I've never seen anything like it before. Which is why I'm like all in for it, because you always seen, the story of the hero rise to glory. I don't want to be the hero. You are the hero, but I don't want to be it type thing. And to see Atreus, who ended up being Maduk, I think it is Mondu or whatever his name is, Maduk, ended up being his nickname, which is kind of the name of a desert mouse. And he kind of took upon the name. And then, I'm not going to spoil it for a lot of people, but I'll say, listen, to see him start from the beginning of one, from the very first scene, the dinner table scene with his mother, and just like the way they crafted, it's like, we're not going to hold your hand through the storyline. Like, you know what I'm saying? This ain't going to be no Marvel popcorn, easy baked storyline. It's a slow burn, but it pays off. And you have different character developments, who goes towards the positive, some that go towards the negative. But it kind of reminds me of Star Wars, because Star Wars, the OG Star Wars, not this new iteration of it, but the OG Star Wars gave you a phenomenal storyline, but as well as gave you a lot of action, a lot of visual candy as well. To me, it fits in that same pocket with Star Wars to me. And it's its own entity. But watching Dune 1, I really was like fascinated on their powers and how they get their powers and how they come to be, and the different houses of the different houses of power and all of this. And it's just really a lot of politics. I'm not gonna hold you. There's a lot of politics, which is why I compare it to Star Wars, because Star Wars has a lot of politics. Star Wars is mainly a very politics style of the action, which is cool because it really keep you engaged. It is not for the faint of heart or for the people who just watch stuff for visual candy. It really is an engaging storyline, or a very thought out storyline, which I love that. I mean, anytime you have politics in a storyline, you're gonna have different points of views and different reasonings why these characters do what they do, and it really add more depth to the characters. And it's a huge payoff. So my review on Dune 1, man, listen, Dune 1 is, I watched it on HBO Max. Didn't have the pleasure to watch it in IMAX, which if they ever do a re-release in IMAX, I will do that to see the full glory of it all. But I would give it a strong 9 out of 10. I ain't gonna hold you, big dog. A strong, yeah, a strong 9 out of 10. Because I mean, if you go into it looking for just high flying and action, for the first hour or so, you're gonna be disappointed. But if you just like a good story and you got the time to dedicate to it, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And it sets up part 2 so perfectly. Like like you could tell it was shot all at once, because it was, to me, it seemed like it was shot all at once. Like it was originally supposed to be a 5-hour film, I'm sure, and the director's probably pushing for that. And it was like, nobody's gonna buy tickets to spend their whole day in the movies. You know what I'm saying? Split this thing up, you get more money on. You know what I'm saying? So because when part 2 kicks in, I was imagining, because when I finished watching part 1 on HBO Max, I'm just like me standing up in the room doing this. And I'm like, okay, now here's part 2. So I geared up part 2. Mind you, another 2 hours and 40-something minutes. That's the dedication I had. I spent almost over 5 hours watching these movies, and that's the dedication I had. And watching part 2, it literally picks up right at the end of part 1, which is why I feel like it was all shot at once. Which is, it really doesn't skip out. It literally shows you from the start to finish, or the start to the conclusion of that series, of the development of these characters, and just the way these things come to be, man. It's just so much visual eye candy there. The acting is great. The fight scenes are unique. It's great. The character designs are phenomenal. Listen, man, it's really cool. It's really cool. Part 2 is definitely my favorite, because it's just more action, because it gave you all of the foundation on part 1. And part 2 is like, all right, you saw part 1, right? You get it? You got it? All right, let's go. And the way part 2 ended is obviously a part 3 coming. And part 3 is going to be phenomenal. I know it. I know it. I know it because the way part two ended, though. The way part two ended, though, the way it ended, it was like, y'all ain't playing. Y'all ain't playing. Like, y'all doing what took Marvel almost a decade. Matter of fact, a decade to get to. Like, mind you, Marvel started with the MCU, started with Iron Man. Then you had the slow burn with Iron Man 2, and the slow burn with Iron Man 3, and then Iron Man 2, and then here comes Avengers, and it was like a slow burn. Here, 1 and 2 gave you everything you needed to set up, like, major events for part 3. And if you don't know anything about Dune, just to really give you, I don't want to spoil it for nobody, but to really give you a little bit of just a synopsis or like a summary, it's basically about this young man who is to be his father's predecessor, who takes his father's role as a duke. And they end up having to be, they were summoned to a planet to farm what they call spice in the desert, which is strongly reminds me of Star Wars, because in Star Wars, you had, I want to say, Mandalorian. You had people in the desert getting spice, and they were spice mining. I want to say, what was it? It was Mandalorian, and then Boba Fett was talking about the spice mine in the desert. So I'm like, those not the same universes, but it's like, I wonder. So, but yeah, so they end up sending the Atreus and his family to a desert-lated island, a desert destination, and it's almost like where he's from, almost have like a Scottish type of a tone to it. They even had like a scene where he has a guy with the bagpipes, and had like a Scottish type of like a lot of these cities, or these cities that they create, or kind of have some sort of ties to something in reality, and inspirations from something in reality, and obviously it was in Scotland. And then here, obviously, it takes place in the desert, gives you almost like this Egypt vibe. And even the characters had this Egyptian vibe to them, or Middle East vibe to them, which is, I get it. So they were sent there to mine the spice, and they were sent there to pretty much like control the Furman, which is the name of the desert people, the Furman. So they will sit there to kind of like keep them in control, because obviously they have to go into their territory to mine. So you have to go in their hood to mine. At the same time, keep a relationship with them where they don't overthrow you, like keep them in check, And long story short, events took place, and here comes Atreus, his storyline, the rise of his storyline. And his mother plays a very intricate part in there as well. And then you end up seeing Zendaya character as well. She's played an intricate part. And it kind of shows you the decisions he had to make as a young man. And, he ended up becoming something of importance on there. And I'm not going to spoil it too much, but he become a big deal. And he earned his rite of passage as a man. And just one of those things where it's just showing you, like, this brother is well trained, like his parents well trained him for these type of moments, and you can tell his decision making, his fighting skill. He's a well groomed, a young king, so a young duke, if you would say. So I'm not gonna spoil it too much, but I will say, if you haven't watched Dune, please go watch it, 1 or 2. If you like anything science fiction, if you're a science fiction nerd or science fiction buff, go watch it. If you're a Star Wars buff, go watch it. It's definitely worth it. I recommend taking out time in the day, because it's very long, very lengthy, but it's on HBO Max for free. You don't have to buy it or pay for it. It was weird because part 1 had a whole bunch of commercials, because we got the promo with Cricket, and then the second one, which is part 2, had no commercials, which is the newest one, which is weird. I don't know. But it's a great movie. Phenomenal, great visuals, great acting, great fight scenes, great character development. The villains is even fire. I don't really have nothing bad to say about it, really. I can't even think of nothing bad to say about it. It's just one of those films to really show Marvel and show DCU is like, this is how you put together a movie, a film. This is a film. Marvel movies. This film. Now, if I was to compare anything Marvel related to it, I would say probably Captain America: Civil War. That was the closest you'll probably get to it, but it's not as deep as the storyline. But that's as close as you're going to get. But it's definitely, if you ever seen Rebel Moon, it definitely had that Rebel Moon vibe. Like it definitely got that vibe. So with that being said, make sure you check it out, and when you watch it, come back and comment in the section below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are they the same as mine, or is it trash, or is that, let me know. But make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more reviews and movie reviews. This is my movie review on Dune 1 and Dune 2, the remakes now on HBO Max. Peace.